Attitude. Yes. Welcome. This is the fourth in a 5-part video series looking at all things conflict conversations. And if you haven't been to one of my lives before, then you'll know. Well, if you haven't been before, you won't know that we always start with a little bit of music. And if you have, then enjoy this month's theme. The tune is called Attitude, and it's by Kid Creole and the Coconuts. Yes. Here we go. So welcome to the third in my Conversations for Life series, and this one is looking at all things to do with conflict. So this series is looking at how to heal broken relationships, how to stop avoiding conflict, and also how to swap out your hot-headed, flame-throwing tactics for something more calm and collected. So it's time to write a new conflict story. Am I right? Woo! Done are the days of the winners and losers. It is over. That story is gone. We are going to create a more co-created and alternative ending to conflicts through this approach that I'm sharing with you in these videos. Throughout this video series, I'm going to reveal the inside information on your conflict type and its restore strategy. If you haven't seen that video already, then pop back and go and see the first in the series, because it helps you identify your conflict type and its restore strategy in order to make sure that your conflict type doesn't completely overwhelm your conflict situation, so that you end up avoiding it, or sitting on your high horse waiting for an apology that never comes, or having a massive row. So yeah, go check that out. And I'm going to show you my 5-part reconnection structure, because avoiding conflict is a way of avoiding connection. Conflict is an inevitable part of adult life. Adulting sucks. But when you have a reconnection structure to approach your conflicts through, actually all you're doing is bringing in more connection into your life every time you lean into one of the conflict conversations that you have going on in your life. Sounds good, right? Okay. So what have we covered so far? Bearing in mind that this is day 4 of a 5-part series. We have looked at the confidence to raise the issue and have the chat. We have looked at the secret to finding the right time for the chat. And we have looked at the magic of getting really specific on what needs to change, rather than the super vague approach. And today we're looking at the knack of sidestepping the big row and co-creating mutual solutions. And the last episode is going to be the art of creating a supportive feedback structure within your life and various areas of your life, okay? So stay tuned for that in the next video. Woo! Coming to an end. So if you are ready to stop having conflict in your life and start lifting those tensions once and for all, then this 5-day communication challenge is going to be the one for you. It's going to be a game changer. Okay, so let's dive into day 4, people. First thing to do is to bust a myth. So the myth we're busting today is you have to win the argument, otherwise you're a loser. Now, hands up if you have felt like that at times. I have. Definitely. I have definitely tried to win arguments. So, sorry, I've got hay fever. Allergies. Not all games have winners and losers, all right? In fact, conflict is at its most dangerous when it is an us versus them or a me versus you scenario. We each experience reality in a completely unique way, and we might as well get used to that and work with that as reality itself. All right? So some common pitfalls here in the winners and losers mindset is that assuming the reason for the behavior, the challenging behavior, assuming that you know exactly why they're doing that, probably assuming that they're complete idiots, but certainly assuming the other person's context and why they would be doing that. Not getting the whole picture before you launch in. And also taking up all the airtime in the chat itself. These are really common pitfalls for especially this stage of the conversation. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, what I mean is you've got your micro yes. So the person's willing to have the interaction and they're showing up for the time to have the chat. And now you have been really specific on the challenging behavior and its effect. So you're now well into the conflict conversation, right? At this stage, you need to listen. This is the listening stage. You cannot co-create if you are not willing to listen, all right? So naturally, there are always going to be multiple shared versions of a single shared moment or event. It's just the nature of reality. You and me go to a bar and we have a chat, and then we go and tell another friend about it afterwards, and we're going to tell slightly different stories about the same event, the same moment, same conversation, because we experience it differently. So that's because whatever is happening is seen through the eyes of and interpreted by the mind and felt in the heart of the unique beholder. So let me share with you a little story. And this happened relatively recently, right? So my good friend and colleague, Andy, would often try to reschedule our regular check-in accountability calls. And I wanted him to agree to stop moving it. Even more so, I wanted him to admit that he didn't care about our work, because I'd assumed that was the case, as much as I did. He didn't care about it as much as I did, obviously, otherwise he wouldn't constantly rearrange them. And which would make me the winner in the commitment and professionalism game, right? Thus justifying my judgment and my righteousness, my conflict type, a sort of smug, see, I knew it, right? When in fact it was nothing of the sort, honestly. It was simply that he can easily change his schedule, whereas I prefer to keep quite a routine in my week, and so we were constantly hitting that tension. Once we knew that difference in the way that we approach our week, we were immediately able to agree that we would keep the slot that works best for both of us and not change at the last minute. And I didn't feel like I'd won. I felt like we had understood each other's reasons for the behavior that we were doing. And that was really freeing. It suddenly felt so much lighter. And I just let go of winning completely. Even though I got what I wanted, I just didn't relate to it in the same way at all, because his position made so much sense. His behavior made so much sense once I uncovered that for him, his week is super flexible and he enjoys that constant flexibility. And that I really like these sorts of calls in the morning, so moving it to the afternoon is extremely disruptive for me. And once we understood that, we were like, oh, okay, cool, that's easy. Well, let's just agree to do this going forward. It was great. So when you have got to the stage where you have named your specific behavior and its effect that you are wanting to create change around, and if you haven't watched that video, go back, because it's really important to not be general, and I give you some tips on how to be really specific. Once you've got to this point in the conversation, you now need to pass the bat, okay? You've been talking for a little while. You've been naming the problem. The likelihood is that this person is like a kettle about to blow, okay? They're going to feel all the tension, all the pokes in the eye with a stick. They're going to feel all of the, maybe a little bit angry, certainly a little bit defensive. So there's a lot going on in them right now. They need to let off some steam. It's as simple as that. And steam doesn't mean shouting. It means they need an opportunity to express themselves, okay? And you're going to help that happen. Otherwise, you are keeping the lid on all of that built up tension because they've been listening to you, explaining the problem. They're probably anticipating and imagining lots of little judgments, and they need to release some of that. So you're going to go, how's it for you? You're just going to give them that airtime, and you're going to use your breathing technique to listen, right? At this point, you're really trying to uncover and reveal what is going on for them. Why might they be behaving in this way? So open up the space to hear and understand each other's perspective and experience here. And as the person raising the conversation, that would be you, you need to take on a little bit more of that responsibility because you're the one that's brought it to the table. Okay, so you're going to take responsibility for that and make sure that they have space to be heard because you want the conversation to go as well as possible. So listening and empathy are the key here. They are the key to holding back that dangerous tidal wave of destruction. Things they say, remembering that they may be feeling quite defensive right now, so they may be a bit spiky. Things that they say, just let them move past you. At the moment, you're not taking it personally, you're just letting it move past. Let it move past you. You're trying to uncover and understand what might be going on for them, okay? So let all of those pokey sticks just move past until they get to the point, for me, it's no. And you're like, oh, now you found the thing, right? The thing that you didn't know before that somehow explains their behavior. So just play detective here and hold it all lightly and genuinely stay curious. The main way of relating here is curiosity. Curiosity and empathy. If you're not sure, you say, can you tell me more about that? Or I don't understand that bit. Is there anything else? Just keep asking those little what, how questions of like, how did that happen? Or what led to that, right? So you're just going to stay in your what and hows. And curiosity and empathy are it. Just stay there. If something pokes you and makes you want to go like, oh, no, then use that amazing technique you got the other day in the previous video of breathing out the I hate you so much right now, but not saying it, so that you can stay present and listen and stay curious. Okay? So by stepping into the other person's shoes for a moment, you're going to unearth the different reality. Game changer. And the likelihood is that there are core misunderstanding and hidden reasons here that you had no idea about, and even the other person might not have realized. And the likelihood is that they didn't realize how reality was for you around this thing that you're discussing. So this opens up an opportunity for change based on each other's reality rather than your avoidance, judgment, or frustration. So now you're actually dealing with the shared realities that are different stories. So powerful. So here's a couple of prompts that you can try. It might sound like, so what is it like for you? Or what was that like for you? I'm all ears. And now you just like zip it, unless you are asking another follow-up question. Signaling that you want to understand. You might go, I'm aware that this is only my side of the story. Would you be willing to share with me how you see it? The likelihood is that they'll probably really want to because they're all built up. What you may notice about these questions is they're formed through a what and a would you be willing. What I'm not using is why did you do that? Why did you do that? Is possibly the worst question you could ask. It raises the flames like you wouldn't believe. Why is the ultimate judgment question starter. So if your relationship is not healthy, never use a why question. If your relationship is really healthy and it's integrated, then why is fine, because there's an assumption of best intentions there. But if you haven't got the best intentions as your foundations, so the relationship is disrupted in some way, avoid why like it's the plague. Honestly, I promise you, avoiding why will help. Okay, so if you want a little rule here, sticking to a what or how question is a really good way to keep yourself in the lanes, if you like, of uncovering and staying curious here. So you're not going, is it, are there, have you, because these are all closed question starters and they tend to get yes, no answers. You want the person to speak and tell the story of what's going on for them. So that's why what and how are the most useful starters here. So that's a little tip. So finding out and understanding why their challenging behaviour is happening without using the word why is half the solution. So you're halfway there. Honestly, listening and uncovering the other reality is half the solution. And there is likely, almost always, a misunderstanding at play here. So seek to uncover where it lies. Where is the misunderstanding here? And then you can start to co-create a reality that works on both realities being understood. So the main thing is to always get the whole picture. Always get the whole picture by asking and listening and staying curious. And hold your assumptions very lightly. You may find out that you were absolutely right. But don't say I told you so. But even if you are right, at least you now understand it within the context of the whole picture. And that will really help to rebuild the relationship and reconnect you with each other, because you both feel heard and seen in your realities. All right? So just to link the last three things together that we've been exploring. So we've looked at getting a micro yes to make sure that it's the right time and the person is willing to have this conversation. You've signaled roughly what it might be about, whether it's, that thing that happened yesterday, or can we talk about the kids, right? So you kind of earmarked it a little bit, and then you've gone and named the specific behavior or the specific context that is the issue and its effect, cause and effect, and you've done this in as fewer words as possible. And now you're going, what's going on for you? What's your version here? How do you experience this? And you're staying extremely curious and really empathetic to try and understand where the misunderstanding might be. All right, so already this is a radically different type of conversation to the usual one of, I need you to apologize, or stop doing that thing, or you're such a messy person. Right? Now you're really entering something that is co-creative. And by seeking to understand and seeking to listen, you neutralize the defense mechanism constantly. You're just constantly neutralizing it. And you're holding it all in yourself so that you are also neutralizing. You're letting these things move past you because you want to understand. You know that the shared reality is the most co-creative place. So you're holding it all lightly, and you are being the bigger person. You are just being the bigger person. If they are being really spiky, just be the bigger person, because you want this to go well, because you want a solution to this problem. All right? And you have a structure to do so. So this has taken us to the stage of uncovering the shared reality. And then there's a sort of B part to this section. This is kind of a two-parter. So you've understood the other person's reality. And the next question, once you feel like that has been revealed, is what can we do about this? And you might want to summarize before that saying, so I understand now that for you, flexibility in your week is really easy and it's something you actually like. And we've understood that for me, actually, these calls really need to happen in the morning, otherwise it completely disrupts my day. So what can we do going forward? Last minute changes also I find quite difficult. So what can we do? And then you both put solutions into the pot and you discuss them. So what would that mean? If we did this, would this work? How would this be for you? And you can even start to use language like, would you be willing to, and be willing to budge as well? Be willing to be aware of your own contribution to this dynamic. And so this two-parter is uncovering and then exploring, right? So you're uncovering the other person's reality and sharing your own experience, your own version of the reality. And then you are co-creating and exploring together what you are willing to do together and agree together in order to not have this problem occur again. So that's the two-parter. That's it. That's this stage. And you're actually pretty much on the other side now. You really are moving through, and you're probably already starting to feel quite reconnected at this stage. So that leaves us with one more video to do, which is the closure of this conversation and the art of creating supportive feedback cultures for shared growth in your life. So stay tuned. Do come back for the last video, and if you haven't seen the ones before, nip back and catch up on 1, 2, and 3. And if you haven't seen the last 2 series in this exciting run of conversation tips, we've looked at dating conversations and leading a more erotic life, erotic being playful, curious, and imaginative. And we've also looked at the magic and power of small talk. I know, no one likes small talk, but when used in its natural form, you can have new conversations with new people anytime, anywhere. It's a gift to be good at small talk. So go and check out those. They're all on my IGTV. And I'll see you in the next video, the last one in this series. And if there's anything else that you would love me to cover, any types of conversations that you would love me to cover in these series, then drop them in the comments. And also leave your comments and reflections about this particular video, the tip in this video of listening and staying curious and uncovering the shared reality. And I'll see you in the next one. All right, let's ride out with some tunes because it's good, it's nice. Shall we? I think so. Here we go. Attitude. See ya.